One. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this meeting on Food Healers Los Angeles. It is February 18th, 2021. Christopher, good to see you. And Marco and Sir Roland and Sarah and Ingrid and Alan, great to see everyone. So I'm happy to give a bit of an overview, and Sarah and Ingrid, please jump in as well. So let's all give an overview of Food Healers Los Angeles to our guests and to whoever watches this recording. So the basic idea of Food Healers is to feed everyone plant-based foods for free as a basic public good, right? And there's different forms that this could take. I'll flash up on my screen the image of the community cafe that all of you are familiar with. That was a project we kicked off back in 2015 to feed entire communities healthy food for free. And now with COVID, it's much harder logistically to have a community cafe or cafeteria kind of setting. Oh yeah, go ahead, Sarah. Oh, okay. With COVID, it's very risky health-wise in terms of the spread of the virus to bring people together in a cafeteria style setting. So the focus has shifted now during pandemic times to delivering the food. And we're very excited about making plant-based food and delivering that in the form of a stew or other dishes. And Ingrid, who's with us now, your microphone's muted, Ingrid, so unmute and jump in whenever it's good for you. Ingrid has been very busy for years, over 10 years, feeding local communities, houseless communities, plant-based foods. And she has a really exciting model that we just learned about, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago for the first time, that we learned about Ingrid's model, where she goes to farmers markets, notably the Santa Monica Farmers Market and others, where the farmers at the end of the day, after they've sold all the produce that the people want to buy, and they have a surplus left over, they're very happy to donate it because their whole thing is fresh produce. And at the end of the day, if they were to keep it overnight somewhere, it wouldn't be fresh anymore. And so they would, so they're very happy to give it away. That's super exciting for us because we can then blend that into our plant-based stew. In fact, if you think about this in its simplest form, plant-based stew consists of, grains, legumes, potatoes, and other, I'll just call them like basic staple kind of starchy, foods that make up like the base of it, right? The base of the stew. Like beans and rice are kind of like the baseline vitals for a stew because beans and rice make a complete protein, right? Other legumes like lentils notably are super awesome as well. And then, pasta, of course, has protein. Potatoes are nutritious. Anyway, so those are kind of, I'm just going to think of them as the kind of the core complex carbohydrates and legumes that make up kind of the base of the stew. Then on top of that, we've got produce, fresh produce that we can wash and chop up and blend in so that it has more nutrition, more flavor, etc. And then of course there's, spices and, herbs and spices kind of thing. So those are kind of the three sort of categories of ingredients that I think about going into a very healthy plant-based stew. Any comments on that before I continue with my thinking? Or feel free to grab the talking feather and talk away. Anyone, I just want to pass it around a bit. Yes, Ingrid. Yes, Ingrid, go ahead.
this is Sister Ivy. Can you hear me?
Yes, Sister Ivy. Very happy to hear from you. Carry on.
Thank you. Yes, I think what you said is a very good thing. Two of our cooks, they do that, like make it a base as lentils or beans or even corn. And then, with some nice spices, everything goes very bland so that everybody can eat it. So there's nothing spicy. Just because, that way everybody can eat it. And then throw in a lot of the greens that we bring. It's amazing what they do, and it comes out really delicious. They get all kinds of greens. So I know that that is a good recipe that works. Just wanted to say that. Very practical.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And we are so blessed to have you on the team, Sister Ivy, because you have so much experience that you've been pioneering this and doing it in Los Angeles. So our idea, in its simplest terms, is to build on the great work that you've been doing, Sister Ivy, expand it to be able to feed more people, and also develop the project in such a way that it can get lots of attention, right? Why do we want lots of attention? Number one, we want lots of volunteers to join and join the party, join the effort of feeding everyone plant-based foods, and therefore thereby ending hunger and malnutrition and ending the consumption of meat and dairy, so that we can inspire the world to go plant-based through our own example, through our own work. And I believe that part of that is ultimately, our goal for Los Angeles, I believe, should be to make this food constantly available to all Los Angelinos, all people throughout Los Angeles, regardless of where you live in LA, regardless of what neighborhood, that free plant-based food is available to everyone as a basic public good, right? And that it be, as Sister Ivy was saying, delicious, nutritious, really, really tasty and really healthy with all the produce and all those good ingredients that go into it. We have a lot to talk about exactly how to do it. Sister Ivy, you've developed a model that's working very, very well, and I'd love for you to share more about your model so that we can all learn from it. And if there's any images from your website or anything that you'd like us to share, we'll be happy to do that. I'll be happy to do that. Just say the word.
Well, I can share that it is a teamwork, and we are doing 111 is all about teamwork. Sometimes it's a bigger team and sometimes a smaller team, but the model is all teamwork. So that model basically is the farmers market is one of the team members and gives the food, and then we pick it up, volunteers pick it up. Everything is volunteers. There's nobody, including me, that makes any money. It's all volunteer. It's a work of love. And sometimes that's not that easy also, because it takes the people that are willing to give the time and give the effort and do the work. And sometimes that doesn't make it easy, but it's the most beautiful thing, because nobody is about money and nobody's expecting to get any money and nobody is thinking of making money. It's all a work of love and it's all about helping those that are in need. But in this case, I know it's just helping everyone, which is really what we do. There are sometimes people visiting in the camps or whatever, and they get a meal too and love it. So it's a work of love, and that team uh, goes and give the produce to the cooks, and then the cooks, here's the other team member, they cook that. When it's ready, they either bring it to us or we pick it up, whatever. Every cook is different. Some right now because of the virus thing, some cooks only will make it that we pick it up, and some other ones, thank God bless them, they bring it to us, so it's more help. And then after that, then there goes a team of volunteers to bring it to the camp, which is kind of the most, to me, is the most delicate.
Oh, Sister Ivy. Okay.
Yes,
Go
yes,
ahead.
the most delicate part of it. And yeah, not everybody goes to the camps. It just needs to be something very carefully decided. That's what I will say. No offense to anyone. It's just that it's a very delicate thing. And I know that that's one of the things that have done the works really well is to be so careful, and I will let anybody even say picky about who goes to the camps because that's a very important thing. I haven't had any problem at all ever over 10 years. I haven't had any problem, but I'm very careful about who to bring to the camp. It's got to be people that are really ready for a lot of things uh, that the volunteers are going to see over there. It's not really encounter anything because these are just beautiful people that are very, very grateful. So grateful. It's amazing that they have food, and some of them had even told me, thank you so much that you guys came tonight because I was going to go to bed without eating anything. I ate this morning a piece of bread, and I know it's true. Those that say that is true. Not that there's no food, but for whatever reasons, that has happened and that happens. And so it's very important to keep on doing this work, and that's why it's very important to be very careful who is ready and who can. There's sometimes even people that would like to and want to go to the camps, but for one reason or the other, it might not be a good match. So that is a very delicate part. I'm very careful with that. The rest of the things is easier to, to get more people for. And but my main thing that I always say is these takes a lot of commitment, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's good to really think about it before getting into it. I don't mean, of course, to discourage anybody because we need people and we need volunteers. I mean, even right now, um, if there is someone in Los Angeles or West Los Angeles or Santa Monica or any part of West Los Angeles, that will be good to let me know because volunteers are needed all the time. But I'm just saying, we gotta make sure people know that it's a commitment and it needs to be a good commitment so that things don't fall in the middle. So, but it's a beautiful work, and like our cooks, they only cook, but they tell me I'm so happy since I started helping with this. My life is so happy. I just because it is that way when we know we are giving and giving without expecting anything even more. It's just a wonderful source of happiness and peace and very wonderful for everyone. So if there are any questions, I'm just sharing.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Ingrid, and
Customer
welcome.
service needed in the allergy department.
Is
Hey.
it
Se solicita servicio
Claudine?
al cliente en el departamento de alergias.
We have a guest, and it's my friend Claudine.
All right, welcome, Claudine.
Hi,
Great to see you. We're
And
recording,
I want
but
her
here
to
we
give
can.
her presentation. It's
pause.
9 minutes, but I want to kind of like, I have my mask on, so I can't really introduce her right this second. She's amazing. And she helps stop puppy mills and stops dog fighting. Yeah, I know. And
Oh
we
my
have a big
goodness.
opportunity to help her. So go ahead, Claudine.
Well, thank you. I was expecting, can you hear me okay, first of all?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. And can you give me a thumbs up if you're
Jamin,
okay with
one more
recording?
thing, real quick.
We're recording. Okay,
Jamin.
great. Go ahead.
She's like
Yeah.
the Aaron Brockovich. So she's kind of like the Aaron Brockovich of animal rights. Yeah. So this is why I
Oh
want
my
you to meet
goodness.
her. Okay, go ahead.
Wow. Please take it away, Claudine. So happy you're.
Gosh, I actually was preparing for tomorrow. I thought I was going to do all this tomorrow. I just literally got off a 3-hour Zoom, so I just thought I'd check you guys out and see if you were still talking. But thank you for having me. Thank you, Sarah. I've been at it for 30 years. I went to law school when only 2 law schools in the country was teaching animal rights and animal welfare. And my lovely professor back then was, I think, the father of animal rights. It's Stephen Wise. And he's written many great books, Rattle the Cage and on and on. And anyway, I began my career as a prosecutor. And one of the things that startled me back, this was 20 plus years ago, that nobody cared about animal cruelty cases at all. I went to my boss and I said, look, cases are falling through the cracks. Can I put everybody in the same room and teach them what their roles are? And he basically said, just do it on your time. And I did. And 23 years later, I have a conference that has been now international, the Animal Protection Expo. Jane Velez Mitchell was on it as our guest speaker last year. And before that, a few other guest speakers. And I deal daily. I get cases on a daily basis. Some are atrocious. I have to admit that I've become somewhat immune to the pictures and the videos. And I guess we all do over time. Sarah, I have the video, but you know what? I didn't email it to myself, and my phone is dead from using it all day long. And so I don't know how to get that video. I was gonna show you guys, but I can also do that tomorrow if you guys are all on the same call tomorrow. I mean,
What did you just say?
Go ahead.
What did you just say?
I said, I did not email myself the video. I only texted it to everybody and my phone is dead, but let me try to email it to myself and maybe someone else can chat for a while I get the video set up. If you want to,
I can email it to you because I have it on my email and I'm on my phone. Do you want me to email it to you?
That'd be great because my phone died. I've been crazy using it all day. But
yeah, and I can try to put it in the chat, but let me just email it to you real quick when I'm walking out of here and they're gonna get onto me for not my mask being up.
Well, I'll just take maybe 1 more minute.
Oh, I'm free. It's okay. I'm free. I can breathe. Okay. Just have to wear the mask because of COVIDs. But yeah, because all the people that eat all this stuff is causing this. But let me email this to you real quick. I'm just getting into my car. So let me just do it. Hold on. Yeah.
Well, I'll just mention that Georgia's a tough state for animal welfare. I guess you guys probably know that. I'm from the South. I've lived in the South. My parents are European. And one of the things I've struggled with is I've written or been a part of passing 8 state laws here, starting with dog fighting. And in 2003, unless you caught them in the act of fighting a dog, nobody was really ever jailed or convicted of dog fighting. So we changed that. We amended the animal cruelty statutes because, believe it or not, you could torture an animal as long as you wanted to, but unless you maimed it or killed it or disfigured it, you could never be charged as a felon in Georgia. but we changed that in 2014. It took us 4 years to change it. So we're fighting on various levels, legislatively, education. We do a lot of training for animal control, police, judges, prosecutors. I've been petitioning the state to have a special prosecutor here in Georgia. I had funding for a while. Sadly, the funding was, the contingency on the funding was, we want you to go out and be a lawyer and do what you do, but don't fundraise while we're funding you. And when you build something during that time that's going like a rocket ship, and then suddenly your funding stops and you've never really fundraised, you kind of hit a brick wall, which is sad. But Sarah asked me to share a video. It's 9 minutes long. Is that okay with everyone? Okay.
I think it's so wonderful what you do. Thank you so much. And wow, to have changed the laws. This is the real need is change the laws so that things don't occur. So thank you so much. I have a question. Is this about what this meeting is about, food healers? I just want to know the connection. Like I said, I think it's wonderful, but is there a connection with the food healers?
Ingrid, I can answer that. Okay, so Claudine is going to talk to us tomorrow morning because she's in Atlanta. So I invited her to our food healers meeting tomorrow, but I wanted her to give a presentation of what she does because we need to find someone that can help her get these laws changed, and she can do this, but we need to help her. So I want her to be able to let us know, because if we don't know what to do, then we can't help her. Well, it's just like with the food healer. So when Jamin said, well, it's going to be a small, you can have an open house. Right, Audie? What happens with climate healers. That's all. And my phone's at 26%, but I'm about to be near my pet sitting to charge it. And I'll be on my iPad soon.
And I'm happy to share this tomorrow if it's not, I don't want to be redundant or anything. I'm happy to do that. And it's one program of many. So we don't just do laws. I deal with veganism here. I'm dealing with a child who's only eaten okra her entire life because she lives in a food desert and it's horrible. So if you want me to show it tonight or wait until tomorrow, just let me know.
Let's see. Well, actually, yeah, tomorrow may actually be better. We'll probably have a bigger group, and also this meeting is really focused on the food healers part, which is feeding everyone plant-based foods as a basic public good. So I think tomorrow is a bit more of an open meeting where we can talk about anything we want. So that might actually be better. So were you planning on being here in the morning from 7 to 9 a.m. Pacific time, which would be 10 to noon Eastern time?
Yes, I'll be here.
Okay, perfect. So when you join, Claudine, is that okay, Sarah? Does that work for you?
Oh yeah, and I put her a presentation in the chat also if you guys want to watch it on your own time. It's beautiful. I watched it. It's so touching. I mean, it should be it's a document. It should be up for some kind of award. It's absolutely blows me away what Claudine just did just in 2019, what she did to, it has to do with some German Shepherds and then something else, but I was blown away. I'm literally going to send it to my client in Beverly Hills who only adopts German Shepherds. It blew me away. I'm so touched by Claudine. I can't imagine. I'm just so blown away by Claudine. She's an amazing person. But I do want her to give the presentation tomorrow during Food Healers. But I want to make sure, Jamin, could you maybe introduce her then tomorrow since you're hosting? Is that cool?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll be happy to introduce Claudine tomorrow, and in fact, we can even watch it now. I got no problem.
Thank you, lady. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for bringing it. I'm going to see if I can watch it after this meeting is over. That sounds really great. Thank you for bringing it.
We'll wait till tomorrow. It's no problem. I don't want to infringe on your time. So please, let's wait till tomorrow. That way, everybody, if you want to watch it at your leisure, you're welcome to. And I'll send you my bio, Jamie, so you'll know a little about some of the history.
Thank you, Claudine, for your understanding. Thank you. I'm looking forward to watching that.
I appreciate you. Thank you, guys.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, just if you want to email Jamin your bio, maybe Jamin could put his email in the chat. Claudine, you know how to check the chat, right?
Yes, I do. I'll check the chat.
Okay, cool. Because some people don't know how to check the chat, even in my vegan Toastmasters group, still to this day. And I'm just asking you only because, like, I don't even know how to do another thing on the, and I'm still can't figure out how to do something on Zoom. So whatever. I'm just asking.
I tell you what, Sarah, I think you have all of my bios and stuff. You want to just forward it to Jamin?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Claudine, if you want to be on my email list where I announce all the meetings and give updates and everything, feel free to put your get me your email. I put my email in the chat.
Oh, another thing, Jamin, is Claudine is getting ready to revamp her whole website, and I put it on Basecamp not knowing that. So maybe we could find somebody that is a vegan website person that could help her as a good, really good Samaritan help, really good deal so that she doesn't waste money on a meat eater that's going to fuck it up. You know what I mean?
Totally. Wow. Heck yeah. No, love it.
Oh, do you want to tell Claudine your background just a little teeny bit so she kind of knows what's going? Because she's never come on Climate Healers or no meetings ever.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So where we are, this meeting that we're having right now on food healers is part of a broader thing that we're doing, which is called The Conversation, which is, I'm going to call it almost 24/7. Thanks to a lot of the folks in this room, notably Marco and Christopher, have been keeping it going literally 24/7. And so we're creating a space where groups like food healers can come and converse and share and build support, share ideas. And we work on a number of different, oh, thank you so much. Thank you, sweetheart. We work on a number of hot sauce. We work on so many different topics, ranging from climate change, which is the planet is just overheating exponentially right now, and of course causing all this weird weather like snow in Texas and stuff like that. But that's among the most urgent, actually undescribably urgent problems, because it is exponential, and there are at last count 67 self-reinforcing feedback loops driving just exponential overheating, which could wipe out humanity's ability to grow food, right? Entirely, among other major problems, destroying the Amazon and rainforests and ecosystems around the world, all the wildfires everywhere from California to Australia to the Amazon. So we work on climate change. There's actually a solution, a short-term solution to stopping this exponential overheating and actually cooling the planet in the very short term. It's called solar radiation management, which is something hardly anyone knows anything about. And actually for years, that was my focus, you know, waking the world up. Hey, solar radiation management exists. It's a solution. Let's do it. And as I was pounding my head against the wall, trying to get the world to wake up to this urgent solution to this incredibly urgent problem, we started to contemplate, you know, why aren't people listening? why aren't people concerned about this or jumping at the opportunity to solve this problem? And one of my big insights and awakenings is that humanity is largely trapped in what I call the all-day Monopoly game. Imagine a bunch of 10-year-olds just playing Monopoly all day long and just really into it and completely ignorant to the rest of life. That's a bit of a trap that we've fallen into, but instead of funny money, the stakes are literally survival. The game is individual hoarding for individual survival. If you have money, you get to eat. No money, no food for you. And so death by starvation is the penalty for losing at this all-day Monopoly game. And it occurred to me, I used to work for Microsoft. I was corporate strategy manager at Microsoft. So I worked directly with Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer. And so here I am working with some of the richest folks in the world. And they have no peace. Bill Gates has no peace. And so it's not like just only the poorest people are suffering at this all-day Monopoly game and the wealthy are just happy as can be. It couldn't be further from the truth. And so all of us are trapped in this all-day Monopoly game. And so I realized my big awakening was, as long as we're like these 10-year-old kids who are just laser focused on this one game and unable to even look out the window and look at all the beauty surrounding us, of course we're not going to have any bandwidth to save Mother Earth or the pandas or the Amazon or anything else, right? If we're so laser focused on this game of survival, this brutal game of survival. So that got us thinking, okay, what can we do to liberate humanity from this game of survival with such a nasty penalty of death by starvation for those who lose at the all-day Monopoly game? And so one of the things we've come up with is feeding everyone. Here, I'll put on my screen. Well, you can see on Marco's screen. I'll just flash the image on my screen. It's exactly the same image of a community cafe. This is a project we started in 2015 to feed everyone healthy food for free as a basic public good. And then the focus was, creating these places where people could come and we would just serve you food and you could eat it there, you could take it home, whatever. But now with COVID, in order to help stop the spread of the pandemic, the model has shifted to how do we deliver food to where people are, rather than ask them to travel to a place and then congregate, right? Which would enhance the spreading of the disease. Combine that with making it 100% plant-based foods, and we suddenly can achieve multiple objectives simultaneously: ending hunger and malnutrition, stopping the spread of COVID by delivering food to where people are, as well as feeding them immune-boosting plant-based foods, right? Liberating humanity finally from this all-day Monopoly game, at least raising the floor, right? Reducing the penalty for losing from death by starvation to no starvation at all. Okay, maybe you're still living in a tent, but you're eating, right? And then if we can gradually keep raising the floor, food, shelter and housing, healthcare, right? Access to, books and internet, et cetera, transportation, other basic goods, we can actually begin to melt away the all-day Monopoly game, get out of this crazy, sick, cruel mode of production that we've managed to back ourselves into as a species, which is absolutely destroying the planet, right, in so many ways. Animal agriculture being perhaps the single biggest way, right? And so our dream is to make this a story. And one of the best ways that we've thought of to make this a story is to do a full implementation of Food Healers, which is our current name for the project. We've kicked around different names. Community Cafe is one name. We Are Uno. Sister Ivy, who was speaking when you jumped in, she has done an amazing work in Los Angeles for over 10 years, feeding communities plant-based foods. Anyway, what I'm saying is we're not settled on the name by any means. But so I just kind of use Food Healers as a placeholder. But the idea is if we can implement Food Healers at scale throughout all of Los Angeles, here you've got the media capital of the world, and suddenly everyone's eating and plant-based foods are available to all. And the kind of the basis of it, the core food, the core type of food that we're steering towards is a plant-based stew. Right, 100% plant-based. It's got your rice, your beans, your produce, as more of the background, I'd love to turn it over to Sister Ivy. Sister Ivy, I know you're intermittently busy there, but if you'd like to give us a little bit of an overview for Claudine, I think that would be really great. And Shankar, welcome. Shankar just joined us recently as well. So. Sister Ivy, whenever it's good for you, go ahead and unmute and share with us. But the idea is to expand on this good work. Okay, I see Sister Ivy's ready. Go ahead, Ingrid.
Well, I can see this as a way to expand from what is done now, and I would be, of course, very glad to help on anything I can. But it is a good model that we can definitely expand, because even before I was picking up from 3 different farmers markets, and one of them is one of the biggest ones in Los Angeles, which is Hollywood. Huge farmers market. I mean, I will get just all the way to the top to the van of great food. I mean, amazing fruit and vegetables. And so I'm saying this because one of the things, we can get any amount of food that is needed, really. I would think that will be something that is kind of a for sure thing. So we have the basis, the resources for expanding this. What we do need is the people willing to do it, do the time, do the effort, do the work. That's definitely a thing. But it's something that can be reproduced at whatever size we need. And so it goes really well with this project.
Beautiful.
Was there
beautiful.
something? Yeah, was there something specific that you thought about for me to share? I would be glad to if there was something more specific.
Actually, well, just one thing for starters is the supply of the food from the farmers markets. This is a crucial point, because as we were mapping this out earlier, we were thinking, well, we'll just need to buy all the food. And there's really, kind of 2 main classes of ingredients. And by the way, welcome. Okay, that was Sarah who joined as Climate Healers. And welcome, is it Carrie Ann? Carrie Ann, welcome. Welcome, Carrie Ann. Feel free to say hello.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we're talking Food Healers now, and we are recording. And by the way, anytime anyone wants to pause recording, just do like this. But we like to record so that we can publish the meeting so that folks who weren't here can watch them. One thing I'd like you to comment on, Sister Ivy, because this totally blew us away. So I was talking about there's 2 main categories or classes of foods that we put into the plant-based stew. One is basically your beans, your rice, potatoes, pasta, your complex carbohydrates. And when you buy those things at scale, the cost goes way, way, way down, right? The cost per pound, for example, of lentils, if you buy it straight from the farmer in Canada, we're talking less than 10 cents a pound. Less than 10 cents a pound for dry
Wow.
lentils. So we're talking about the cost of those basic foods being essentially zero, right? Rounding error above zero, okay? And so what we were thinking is great, that's no problem. We can definitely raise all the money we need to buy all the beans and rice and potatoes, et cetera, that we need. The expensive part is going to be the produce, right? And then we met Ingrid, who we call Sister Ivy. And Sister Ivy has turned it on its head because she gets her produce for free. So Sister Ivy, I'd love it if you would comment on that. And then we can talk more about the model generally. Go ahead, Sister.
Yes, I mean, the produce, I realize, that's way then, that the farmers market were throwing away food, and I have never been for waste. I mean, that is one thing that I really cannot stand is waste. And so I realized they were throwing away the things to the garbage at the end of the farmers market, and I started talking with them, and yeah, of course they will be glad to donate it for something good than throw it away. And it's something that needs a lot of commitment, because even today, even them knowing that we do not and are not to waste and should not waste, if we even get there late, they start throwing things away. So somehow the consciousness of that goodness is not completely firm in there, because even today they will throw it away, and we are there every single Sunday. That's my commitment, to Sunday. And still, they are very glad to give it away. And these are things that if they are not going to another farmers market the next day on Monday, or whatever day the farmers market is, then they're going to end up throwing it away. And they know that, maybe at the beginning there was some educational part, like they tried to get it, take it with them, but then I guess Monday or Tuesday they realized they were throwing it away anyway. So now they know that they are better to give it away at the end of the farmers market than 1 or 2 days throw it away. So it took some work for that and talking with them, but that can be done in every farmers market. And actually now there are farmers markets that are doing this now with other people or other organizations that we have talked about, and hey, we need to save all that food, and it's perfectly well food. I mean, it's the food that someone just bought half an hour ago and will buy, So it's a very wonderful thing to save all this food, and they are glad to do that too. Just give it away.
Beautiful, beautiful, Sister Ivy. And Sarah has a question. Go ahead.
Well, this is just wonderful news. I'm just thrilled. I'm so happy right now because since Jamin made the $5,000 donation, we can hold that in limbo, and we just need to spend a little bit of money ordering the containers. So I do think we should try to come up with a name. I think Community Cafe is great. I love We Are Uno. I wanted to make a point about the farmers. I think the fact that Ingrid went and she has all these relationships, and we should keep that up. We should have the farmers finally come together. We should acknowledge the farmers for what they're donating. We should be giving them accolades so that they feel, because they need to feel like they're actually contributing, because they are, but they're just the middle person right now. But we really, and that's how you create the community, because we're like, hey, we're not just coming here and trying to freeload off of you and get all this free food from you and give it away. And now we look like these superheroes. You're the reason why we're able to do this. Thank you for being the bridge and making that happen. you know, we really do want to give them thanks, because right now on the news, they're talking about all these farmers losing their crops, but we all know that the livestock, you know, is considered in live inventory. We don't, that's just awful, but we do want to recognize the people that are helping, that are making this better, that are healing. So I do think that Ingrid is the main liaison, and I'm just thrilled about getting all this food donated. And I think if we can do it in LA, then we could just do it anywhere, basically. Like you said, Jamin, it just domino effects. And by the time we get down to Claudine in Georgia, it's just a done deal, because they're the ones in Georgia that got the bullhook banned before LA got it banned. Actually, our good friend, me and Claudine know a same person. Since this is a private meeting, I can say that. But anyway, I don't say her name, but we were able to, her group, get the bullhook banned in a little old, you know, Fulton County, Georgia, even though it was never put into place in the city of Atlanta by the evil, you know, mayor, Kasim Reed, evil. We still had it banned in Fulton County, and it was a first. And a lot of stuff has been happening in the South. And so we really need to kind of remember that Atlanta is a big hub, because you got Delta, Coca-Cola, even though they're evil. You've got Home Depot, evil, built the Georgia Aquarium because they're evil, you know, but you've got CDC, evil. But you've got so much money in stuff in Atlanta that we've got to be able to get and get down to spread this around, because this is just a phenomenal that Ingrid's being able to do this. And like she said, she needs volunteers. So even though I've got a team of people, Ingrid's got her team of people, we need to merge together, and then we need to get more people. And how we're going to do that, Jamin, is when we do that big press conference in front of BuzzFeed, right? Oh, and then one other thing I was going to mention, I just saw, this is unbelievable, and I think it was on Jane Unchained News. There is a refrigerator in New York, and it's a plant-based refrigerator, and it's in this borough of New York. Jamie, have you heard of it? And anybody can come up to it and get food out of it. And it's just a community refrigerator. It's pretty cool. I thought of that for us.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah, go ahead, sister.
I just want to share that I thank these people every Sunday so much, so that they know, and I even tell them what we made, what some of the cooks made, and how much the people loved it. And believe me, they know that they are the heroes. I tell them also how I admire their being such hard workers. I mean, these are people that start at 5 in the morning, or even some at 3 or 4 in the morning to come here. And then, you know, they go all day until 2 or 3. Just really amazing workers. And I tell them all the time. And one of the things that I do to just show my, wow, so much appreciation for them is that the volunteer and I always help them to get the tables all undone. And one of the things that I do, especially if they are short of people, but every Sunday I do, is I help them to sweep the floor for them. And I said, look, you are so wonderful. Can I just help you sweep the floor so you can leave earlier? And they really feel appreciated. I mean, I always talk with them. I mean, this is about building community. So, and it's so easy to do because they are so absolutely wonderful and sweet and just so giving. It's very easy to build that community with them. Also, my parents had a ranch. So I was very related to workers and farmers as my childhood. So it just worked out beautiful that now I'm involved in this. It's just even a treat for me. And I just learned to love them so early. So they do know. And it's a very important point. Thank you for bringing it up. Thank you so much, Shara, for bringing it up, because is something that needs to be said. So I'm glad that it came out.
Hey, y'all, listen, I've got to take Boomer out real quick for a quick potty break because he is almost 16 and he's a beagle, a vegan beagle. But yeah, we were just asked actually to be in some kind of a Hollywood magazine, and they're going to wanted a picture of Boomer and I, and they're going to feature him as the plant-based dog. So I'm so happy. And then we can plug Food Healers. Okay, so also Claudine is coming on in the morning, so I just wanted her to say her final comments, because then I'll come back onto the meeting and we can move on to probably localizing what we're going to start with, possibly. Maybe getting those paper cups and maybe meet. Oh yeah, I was going to train with Ingrid. Remember we talked about me going and training with her a little bit. Okay, so let's see if Claudine wants to say final remarks.
Thank you for having me, Sarah. They're actually kicking me out of the building. I've been here since 8 a.m. So I got to get out. They're like trying to clean the place, but great meeting all of you. I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you. Amazing work you're doing. Can't wait to know more about you. I'll see you in the morning.
Thank you for coming.
Wonderful.
Bye.
Claudine, thank you so much.
Bye.
We'll look forward to seeing you in the morning. Have a great
Thanks,
evening.
guys.
And thank you so much. Wow, Sarah,
Thank
wonderful,
you, Sarah,
wonderful.
for the vegan beagle. I guess it's a VB.
Yeah, he's a Veagle, a VEAGLE. That's how Vegan Evan introduces him all the time, because they're like, we're all good friends and they write each other letters. It's so cute. He sent him a letter and it was shaped like a beagle in brown construction paper. He cut it in the shape of a dog and wrote a letter to my beagle. And my beagle actually got more Valentines than me this year. He got 4 and I got 2. And he got a box of gifts from his girlfriend Snoopy Girl in Rochester, New York.
Well, I'm sure for someone doing so much good like you, Valentine's is every day. You get all those good things. That's cute.
And he got a Snoopy Valentine from Snoopy Girl. My client's cats gave him a Hello Kitty Valentine. Then his friend Katie from Las Vegas mailed him this card. I got a Valentine from, I can't remember. Okay, and then Boomer got a box with a shirt that he's wearing and a little thing that he could sleep with. It's called a Unibrow toy, and then a little like a pillow.
Thanks for sharing.
That's what he got. Anyway, so yeah, it's pretty exciting because he's been doing a lot of detective work all summer. So he's been finding missing cats, and I should mention that in the article too. But I'll keep you guys apprised. Anyway, so I'm taking out for a quick break, but I do want to kind of zoom in on Food Healers more and kind of maybe pencil in a time to where we really kind of, hey, we ordered the cups, or what cup did order, where she ordered from. Let's look at the cup, like the prototype, and let's see. We talked about biodegradable. I think she said, or compostable. So maybe we should try to go down that road if we can. Yeah,
definitely. Yes. All right.
So should we wait for you? Should we wait for you, Sarah? Just pause for a few minutes, or how do you want to do
whatever
this?
you guys want to do. I'm just going to take them out real quick, spin around, but I've got to do that to 3 different dogs. I mean, yeah, 3 dogs total. So I'm going to go in and out, in and out, in and out. So just keep going, and I'll bring my phone. I'm just trying to charge it a little bit so I can keep going with this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Bye.
Okay. So we'll see in a little bit, Sarah. Great. You know, let me just comment what's coming to me. So I'd say, you know, one of the next steps, because Sister Ivy has this all mapped out and is rolling week in, week out, making it happen. One of the next steps is that we, in a sense, start a program for volunteers who are interested in joining to go and participate with Sister Ivy and her other volunteers to help out and to learn, right? So we basically, I say phase 1, let's expand the volunteer base and get more and more volunteers doing and learning, right? Led by Sister Ivy. That's my kind of phase one. And then I have some thoughts for phase two, which is basically, okay, now that we have this growing pool of volunteers who are trained, who are learning, who are falling in love with it, because that's one of the things that we're learning is that as people volunteer and get into this and start, that they become addicted to feeding others, right? That's what we learned from Hemel, who's in the UK, who started a program there, and they fed millions of meals in the UK. And they say their volunteers just love it and they keep coming back. So phase one, more volunteers, more training, get into it, fall in love with it. Phase two is we say, okay, now that we have a whole bunch of volunteers who are trained and we can now do all these things at larger scale, how do we basically design and roll out the expansion program? Because once we start expanding where we go, where we set up, and are able to feed more and more people, then we're going to start a virtuous cycle. Because as more and more people learn about it, more and more people will be able to volunteer. So I think we need to, so phase one is go with the program that Sister Ivy has pioneered. Basically no changes, just more volunteers and do it more, right? Phase two, as that happens, we're then with the collective intelligence of all these volunteers, whether you're a volunteer driver, volunteer cook, volunteer food server, right? Volunteer supporter of the farmers. You know, I love what you're talking about, Sister Ivy, about helping them break down their tables, helping them sweep and clean up at the end of the farmer's market. So that we really, phase two, design the full-on expansion to get from here to all of Los Angeles, right? And because, you know, Venice Beach, to be serving food there to thousands of people every day is going to be a whole different kind of operation than going to a houseless camp where, you know, people are, it's basically just whoever's there, and it's, you know, that's what Sister Ivy's been pioneering for over 10 years now. How do we get from there, that model, to this expanded model where we're hitting lots of different locations, and maybe we use a combination of refrigerators where we load up the fridge with all this food, and then people can come and self-serve, or probably better have a volunteer serve, but have these stations where we can keep the food cold or serve the food hot, depending, right? So anyway, those are my initial thoughts. I'm going to pass the talking feather. Love to hear your thoughts on that, Sister Ivy, and then everyone's thoughts.
Sure. Yes, I think that is a very, very good plan. I think that's what is needed. And that first stage, it might take a little for not only the volunteers to that think they are, you know, ready for that, but also for the people that can actually, you know, do all this and put the time, and, you know, that's when we get to the real thing. So I think that's the focus now. Yeah, stage one. I'm ready and I'm willing, and I'll be glad to. So
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So one of the things that occurs to me is, as we get organized here, it occurs to me that there's a function that is needed, which we could have maybe one or two people, or eventually it'd be a whole group of people, but it's the function of coordination, right? So as volunteers join and say, hey, I'd love to help, and basically, you know, I'm available on Saturdays, or I'm available on Sundays, or whenever they're available, right? The coordinators could then keep this whole list of volunteers And when a volunteer first joins, the first, maybe their first task would be join one of the teams, whether it's, collecting the food at a farmer's market, cooking the food, or delivering the food, serving the food. So the different functions do kind of like a matchmaking function to say, okay, hey, this person, like, let's say Christopher just shows up next week in Los Angeles and he's like, hey, I'm just so excited. I heard about what you're doing. I want to volunteer. We need a sort of a matchmaking function between the volunteers who show up and what are the areas that we need volunteers to work in, right? And Sister Ivy made some very good points a little bit ago that, for example, the food that serving the food to the people is perhaps the single most delicate part of the entire chain, right? And so, Sister Ivy, it sounds like you have a magic touch for that. And so here's one question I have. What if every week we had a meeting on Zoom where new volunteers could come and say, hey, everybody, I'm here. I'd like to volunteer. We give them maybe like, I don't know, a 20-minute presentation or video or something that, gets them up to speed on what it's all about. Then they can ask questions. Hey, how do you do that? Hey, what about this? And in the process of getting to know them, the community, us, can help do that sort of matchmaking function and say, oh, great, you're available on Thursdays. Great. We need help on this area on Thursday, and then do that kind of scheduling. Sister Ivy, since you've basically been coordinating the whole thing yourself, you've been like, back in the 70s, we used to watch the show Wonder Woman, or Superwoman. You're like the Superwoman who's kind of been doing it all. How do you see us kind of scaling this up so that we can have a whole volunteer core and a coordination function, a management function to kind of keep the whole thing coordinated? Because as we go from current status, current scale, up to thousands, maybe ultimately tens of thousands of volunteers, we need to figure out a way to scale that up. And I think coordination is one of the key functions, coordinating different groups of volunteers and including the training phase, getting the first experience, training, helping out, maybe even evaluation, review, feedback, learning. We kind of need a whole education track, right? And a way to really get volunteers from being kind of green when they first start to really being seasoned, and also helping these volunteers to really find their niche, because each volunteer is different, and each volunteer in general will have their own niche where they really, some people just want to be cooking, and that's great. Some people just want to be driving, and that's great. Some people just want to be helping the farmers, and that's great. Some people just want to be serving, and that's great. So how do we help people to kind of find their bliss within this broader ecosystem? I turn it over to you, Sister Ivy.
Well, I think we will have to just do something very much one-to-one, definitely, to be able to see, like the qualities of the person. And we all have wonderful, beautiful qualities, but what qualities will help to do what job. And probably, we can do Zoom meetings, of course, but it will be very important to do a one-to-one meeting, and that's what I think that is kind of the sure way. And also, since it will be people that are local here, then it should be easy to, just meet in person. Of course, that is counting that it will have to and need to be people that are feeling quiet about the virus thing, because anyway, otherwise, is really limited to cooking or maybe driving the food, which is very great and needed things, and it will help anyway. But I'm saying all those things will count on what? What is the part of the team that each person can do? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we can just communicate and ask the volunteers present themselves and say, hey, I would like to volunteer in this project. Then just take one by one and see, what will work. I mean, that's really what it comes to. And of course, then at the last stage, to go with me, and like they say, the proof is in the pudding. I like that, because that is really the way to know if someone is, is ready, is up to, after is willing, and it can take time. So, all those things have to come in place. Is that something?
Very good.
Sounds good?
Yeah. No, it sounds great. It sounds great. So I'm just kind of envisioning, as a process, we can have our 3 weekly food healers meetings Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, and Friday evening, right? Are our 3 food healers meetings. And basically we just put the word out, come to whatever food healers meeting works for you. If you want to volunteer, just raise your hand and say so. And then those of us in the meeting will help guide you to the appropriate, kind of starting place. And when Sister Ivy, when you're here in the meeting, obviously you take the lead on that. Hey, you want to meet on, let's meet on, this day, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, and we'll get you started. Or if you're not there, leave us specific guidance as to where to direct those volunteers. Maybe it's just to call you, right, or coordinate with you by text. It sounds like you're the one who's been the central hub,
Sure.
coordinating volunteers so far.
Sure, yeah.
And
text is good, or email is good. Sure, no problem.
Perfect. And then as we grow, for example, Sarah is a natural leader, and great communicator, just a wonderful human being. And I think Sarah can probably develop into this role of also being a central coordinator. So I think these kind of coordinating leadership roles will just kind of emerge and evolve naturally.
Yes.
Right. Is how I'm envisioning.
Yes, that sounds great.
And so, in fact, so Sarah, I don't know if Sarah's probably still busy, but Sarah, you had mentioned, maybe bringing some of your volunteers to work with Sister Ivy. That might actually be a great vector, is that you can bring together groups of volunteers, go and meet with Sister Ivy at whatever day and time makes sense, and then, do the process with her. And then in that process, I think it'll just kind of naturally, we'll find out, which volunteers want to do which roles. In Mexico, we have a saying. Sister Ivy grew up in Colombia. I consider myself very Mexican. I spent 5 very formative years of my life in Mexico. In Mexico, we have a saying: sobre el camino se acomodan las calabazas. And it means that along the way, the pumpkins will settle, right? So the image is, we just load a bunch of pumpkins in the back of the pickup truck. Don't try to get all perfect about putting each pumpkin exactly where it needs to be. Just load them in, and then as you're bumping down the road in the pickup truck, smoking your vegan cigarette, the pumpkins will settle.
That's great. That's great.
So,
that's the only way. It's true.
yeah. So,
wonderful.
so I think
okay,
maybe
well,
yeah.
let's just wait and see who comes forward, or whatever, and we keep on going. And of course, I'll keep on going and include whoever wants to be included, and then see that it works. It has to work. So that's the one thing, of course. And so yes, I'll be just looking forward to just getting more together and getting more. But it sounds very good. I'm going
Okay,
to have
before
to
we
go
end
now.
the meeting, I have a question for Ingrid. Ingrid, how many people, let's say we had like a volunteer team one night, would you think it would be me and 2 other people? Would that be enough for just the first time? Because I feel like it would be very overwhelming if we're trying to have too many people putting their fingers in it at first.
Yes.
Like, and then we delegate out to what people want. If people say, I only want to serve food, then we already know how to do that. We just train them. Right?
Well, I just know the first thing will be to just meet, just meet before just anything. Just
Yeah,
meet.
good point.
That's what I always do, kind of just simple, simple. You probably are gonna hear me say it, and I have said it. Simple. Yeah, just simple. People just meet and then just talk and see what you think and see what you think about this, and just simple meeting, and then we take it from there. So if you have anyone that would like to come and help, just let me know, and then I can meet with that person and see where it goes. Very
Okay,
simple.
so can you just tell me like what day and time would be good so I can go ahead and let these people know? Because I already have a group. I just need to see
Okay.
what time and day would work for you.
Okay, yeah, I can text you. A couple of days, and then take it from there. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Yes. Thank you. And thank you everyone for being here, and thank you, Jamie, for your great work, and Sarah for connecting, and just thanks a lot, and I'll see you next meeting.
Yeah, and next meeting will be tomorrow.
All right, see you guys in the morning.
All right, look forward to seeing you all tomorrow morning. Thanks everybody, and blessings. Great work, Sarah. Great work, Sister Ingrid, and everyone. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Jamin, I'm gonna send you Claudine's stuff, okay?
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
And then do you know any programmers that know Ruby, Rails, and Arugula? Because my vegan friend, Rachel, just created a all vegan dating site. It's really cool. My best friend designed the whole site. It looks like a game. It's like really cool. It's modern. It's all vegan. And because she can't launch it yet because she hasn't been able to find a vegan programmer that knows all of the stuff. So it's like half of it's on Ruby Rails, half of it's on Arugula. And I don't know what to do because I don't understand that world, but she needs a programmer. And I said I would put the energy out to the universe, and then somebody will answer. And it's a paid job. It's just, we need to find somebody so it can go live, because I'm bringing it live with Jane Unchained so that we can let everybody know about it, because vegans want to meet each other, but we want to meet, right. But and also like, it's awesome dating site. It's not just like some stupid dating site. It's really going to be awesome.
Wow. I love it. So here's one thought that I have, is that we need to, there's all these opportunities for the vegan community to come together and collaborate. I think Food Healers is kind of the jewel in the crown. It's kind of the obvious, if we're all about vegan food, plant-based food. Let's just get it to everyone and make LA the plant-based metropolis, right? Now, along the way, all these other opportunities for connection are going to start showing up. One thing that occurs to me, and we could actually organize this, and I think you with your vegan Toastmasters experience, your Jane Unchained experience, etc., would be, what if we had like a vegan, not exactly speed dating, but more like speed networking, right? Where we basically say, let's say we have like, I don't know, 50 people show up on a given, we could even do it on a Friday night, like right after Food Healers or something like that, right? Have a speed networking. Let's say 50 people show up and we'd say, okay, here's how this works. We've got, 25 breakout rooms. And the way this works is everyone gets a number. And right now, numbers 1 through 25 meet up with 26 through 50. I'm actually really good at math, so I can kind of like figure out the numerology of it. So, all right, everybody go to your breakout rooms for 5 minutes. And at the end of 5 minutes or whatever, I don't know, we'll see whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, probably 5 minutes, because, and then just everyone, you just meet a new person. And for 5 minutes, you share back and forth. And then, of course, everyone just keeps the same number. And then we come back to the main room. Hey, everybody. All right, now look on the screen. I can even put it up on the screen, like screen share the spreadsheet. So now number 1 is going to meet with number 27, number 2 with number 28, And then I can, again, I'll get the math all worked out. And then at the end of the night, here's how it works. For those who haven't,
Man,
you like it?
sorry, this dog
Speed-
was, this dog has got this like toy and he's like tearing it apart. Sorry. And his name is Romeo.
Romeo. Well, how perfect. How perfect. So what I'm thinking is then, like with speed dating at the end of I never actually did speed date. I signed up for it one time, but then I had to like move to Ohio to help out my uncle. And I never actually did it, but I did learn about how the process works. So at the end of the night, you kind of fill out your card and you say, hey, I want to follow up with all these people. That's more like a dating context in a networking context, but why not do something similar? That only if both people say yes, hey, please share the contact info. If both say yes and yes, then the organizers share out the contact info, and voila. So one of the cool things there is that through speed networking, people can say, hey, this is the plant-based project I'm working on. I'm really more on the animal rights side and the activist side and all this. Others can say, hey, I'm kind of a geek and I really like to code. So anything I can do to help, whatever. And that way we can just make all these connections happen in a very organic way, right? And it could be sponsored by Food Healers, for example, right, is what I'm thinking. So that way we're kind of by default, promoting Food Healers, and we're always looking for volunteers and
Right, that's how you get the volunteers. Yeah, you feel like, oh, okay, well then you do activity together. Your first meeting can be at the Food Healers thing. But there's a lot of times where like there'll be somebody presenting and I'll be like, oh my God, that guy is so good looking, he's vegan. And I really want to meet him, but I'm not going to be trying, I don't know how to contact him. He's not going to read the chat. So I think this would be a great idea to do like a conglomerate, like vegan networking Zoom, where it's like, oh, have you seen these people on Zoom and you always wanted to meet them, but they kind of just disappeared, I don't know, kind of thing. And then you meet them, but how do you know how do you know if somebody's interested in you romantically or business wise? So I think that you really need to be careful and make a line where you probably make it like a vegan LinkedIn, because there is a vegan LinkedIn, just so you know, my friend Jeff created it. It's called a vegan LinkedIn. And then there's Plant-Based Neighbor, which Jane, you know about that, right? But this is more of like conversation. So you actually could call it what you already have. You already have the name, the conversation. And it's actually people talking, because now there's this new app, which I just signed up for yesterday, which I'm probably ever going to use because I don't have any time for it. It's called Clubhouse. And I was going to tell you about it, Jamin. It's a live chat. I'm sure you know about it. And then I thought, wow, we could put food healers on Clubhouse, and that's how we can recruit people, because it's pretty popular, although I just don't know if I want to take on that part, but we do need to maybe find somebody that's wants to be online all the time. That's a geek that wants to stay online all the time. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. This is so exciting. So let's say we do the speed networking that's just general, and we say that, look, some people are here for romance, some people are here for business, some people are here to volunteer, etc. And as the coordinators, what we could do is, once, as people, you meet 50 new people in this speed networking event, whatever, or 20 new people or whatever. At the end of the event, you specify which people you want to follow up with. And if you feel like there's some vegan flame going on, right, on the Cupid dimension, you check that checkbox. But only if it's yes and yes, you then communicate the information and say, hey, you're both in luck, you both like each other, kind of thing. And, or, you're both feeling it, and you're both, open to that kind of, romantic connection, for lack of a better word, right? Versus, hey, you're both yes and yes on business contact. So here we're happy to share the information with you, but it has to be a yes and a yes on both sides, right? And the organizer plays that kind of information clearinghouse role, right? So there's no uncomfortable moment where I might say, hey, Christopher, I really like you, dude. I want to follow up. And Christopher's like, well, see, that's the whole point of speed dating, is that you avoid those uncomfortable moments where Jamin's trying to, say, hey, Christopher, you and me. And Christopher's like, I don't think so, man. Anyway, so anyway, thanks, Marco. Anyway, so yeah, let's develop the heck out of this for all kinds of connections, and why not? Right. And then this could even be one of the things that it's a way, I think, to promote food healers without promoting it too hard, shall we say. So like this way, somebody could show up and just say, hey, I'm just here for, vegan networking. Great. Show up for vegan networking. You'll learn about food healers. You'll learn about lots of different projects, but no pressure. No pressure, right? Let's have an easy, gentle on-ramp, and definitely no hard selling on anyone at any time. And I think that's one of the really great things about what we've got here with the conversation and the block party and everything, is it's easy. People can just show up, check it out, see how it feels to be networking and talking about all these different topics. And then, they make of it what they will. But with vegan networking, speed networking, we kind of really help facilitate the one-on-one connections, which frankly, I think up until now, I was sort of missing the boat on. Why? Well, because, as one of the co-creators of this space, I get to connect with everyone, and it's just like, if anything, I've got an abundance of connections, so I'm not lacking for that. But for people who are guests on here, and it's like, whoa, I kind of like that guy. I'd like to follow up. They don't really have a systematic way of doing it that's also comfortable for everybody. Speed networking solves that problem. In fact, I just thought of a new word, the convegsation, because conversation has a V right in the middle of it. VEG, convegsation. Anyway, just a thought. Thanks, Marco. Either Marco is cracking up or he's crying because what I'm saying is just so lame, and it's just like, it's just getting all choked up. Either way, it's all good. Awesome, exciting stuff. Well, we're still recording. Maybe I'll pause recording or even stop recording just because we've been having the food healers conversation and recording it. So I'm going to pause